Hello everybody and welcome to another quick Dwarf Fortress tutorial. In this video I'm going to be covering literally everything you can connect to a lever. I figured this would be an interesting topic as actually exploring this taught me a few things. First thing I want to cover is bridges. Obviously pretty simple. You click the link lever button and then you click on the bridge. Now this is going to be connected to two different types of bridges. We have retracting bridges and raising bridges. Retracting bridges vanish when pulled and raising bridges obviously raise when pulled. When the lever is pulled and once the job is complete, it takes 100 steps of in-game time, which takes a couple seconds, and then the lever is triggered and the bridge does its thing, either closing and making a wall, covering one Z level, or vanishing. Once this is hooked up, we'll give it a test run. So now it's all hooked up, we're going to give her a test run, we're going to pull the lever, and summon a dwarf here as quickly as possible. So once again, it's going to take 100 ticks for it to actually close. Here comes our dwarf along here to give her a pull, and now that the lever has been pulled, there go the bridges. So one of them retracts and vanishes, and the other one makes a wall. We can then put this back down. And here we go. And a couple seconds later, thunk, there goes the bridges. Moving on to the next thing here, we have a door. Now, doors can have a lever connected to them. I didn't actually know this until this version of the game, fun fact. I'd played this game for about a decade and had no idea. So if you connect a lever to a door, it simply locks the door. And then you can force the door open. This can also be useful in a few other situations, such as maybe you want to stop water from flowing and you don't want to use a floodgate, or alternatively, you would like to stop a minecart that's going to go crashing through the door. You can force the door open and lock it shut. Once this is hooked up, we'll give it a demonstration. So our dwarf has hooked up the lever, and now you can see it is locked. Once a dwarf comes by and unlocks it, the door is going to be forced open. Very simple setup. Unlike the bridges, it opens instantly and closes instantly. There's no tick waiting time here. Moving on to the next one, we have floodgates. Now, floodgates are very similar to the way doors work, except they can get rocks stuck in them, so be a little bit careful. Any of these devices, including the next one, can also be used to stop water. We got the first half connected now, and now we're just waiting on the second half, and then we're going to give it a demonstration. Unlike doors, and just like bridges, it takes 100 steps to activate, so there's going to be a little bit of a delay time here between the opening and the shutting of the floodgate. So now we have a dwarf summoned to come pull the lever and give us a demonstration, and there we go. And, well, there it goes. It's open. 100 ticks later. Moving on, now we have hatch covers. Hatch covers are similar to doors in that they open instantly. They do not have a wait time, unlike floodgates and drawbridges. Now, the benefit of using trapdoors for things is like things underneath them, regardless of their toppling skill, can't actually topple it. So unlike some of the other options here, like doors and floodgates, if for some reason you do run into one of the rare building destroyers, it can't actually be toppled. It's locked when the lever is flipped, and then when you flip it the other way, it opens up the trapdoor. Moving on, we now have the two types of bars, floor bars and vertical bars. Now, both of these can be lowered using mechanisms, just like the previous things. And now, the beauty of this is something could land on this and then fall straight down. Unlike a drawbridge, where if you use this, it'll kind of launch them to the side. There will be a little bit of a kind of propellant that happens. When you're pulling a bar, it does have a delay time, unlike the trapdoors, so you might, if you want to have a slight delay, maybe you're trying to land a minecart on something, or you're trying to simply drop rocks on an enemy's head, this might not be a bad solution. Now, once they're both connected, we'll give it a test run. And just like the floodgate, not like the door and the hatches, for this to activate. And here it comes. It's been pulled, and kerplunk. They both vanish. Once we click the button again, they will reappear back into existence. It's kind of a weird one, the fact that they vanish. I guess the theory would be that the bars retract and then the vertical bars go up into the ceiling. Next here we have spikes. Now spikes can be useful for a number of things. One of my personal favorites is to attach this to a pressure plate, which of course all of these work with pressure plates because pressure plates are essentially a fancy lever. Now spikes go down and then when pulled again, they go back up. So for this one, with our demonstration, we're actually going to set it to a repeating demonstration. Another thing worth noting when connecting spikes is spikes are actually kind of similar to the way bridges work. Instead of having a 100 tick delay between opening and closing, they have a 40 tick delay between opening and closing. So a little bit less time than the floodgates and the drawbridges, but not instantaneous like the trapdoors and the doors, respectively. And they're a little bit quicker than these. So a little bit more viable as a trap, but they do need a repeating job to be useful. Now the next one here, I actually have some more setup. This is a powered set of gears. Now we can connect this to a gear, and If it's underneath a windmill like this, it will deactivate the windmill and destroy it when it's pulled. Let me show you what I mean. So we have this whole setup here, which is a powered setup, and the idea would be to remove power from this gear so that this stops powering whatever it's powering. But just keep in mind, if you're going to use a setup like this and it is connected to a windmill, you will destroy the windmill. However, this can be very useful for turning power on and off to minecarts. This can be very useful for turning power on and off to any device that requires power. Now, it's been linked to this, and I'm going to show you in real time what happens. So, currently being powered by some water wheels off screen for my main power section in the center of this fortress. And then once a dwarf comes over here and pulls this lever, now that the lever's been pulled, you can see that the mechanism has stopped moving and the axle has stopped spinning. This can be quite useful for deactivating any kind of machinery. And one layer up, the windmill is gone. It has been deconstructed. Now, the last thing we're going to do in this video is we are going to cover this. This is a track stop. Now, this is a track stop with full brakes. Fun fact, you can connect levers to track stops. I had no idea until I was looking at this article. It's fascinating to me that you could use this. This would be another one of many ways to stop minecarts dead in their tracks, pun intended, to either stop a minecart mechanism from running in a circle, stopping a minecart switch, or any other number of uses for minecarts, such as cart grinders, which maybe I need to make a video on one day. Now, the useful thing about this is if you have a minecart going up Mach 12, you could stop it immediately. I think the issue here is, though, it's not particularly clear because these things are hard to see as is, even when they're on, like, let's just say, an engraved track. It doesn't really matter how hard it is to see it because, well, it's going to disappear. So if you're a little bit worried about forgetting where your track stops are, this is going to make it even worse because personally I think track stops are one of the hardest things to see in the entire video game. Maybe even worse than in this version than it was in previous versions. Once the lever is pulled a second time, the track stop reappears. So if I pull this again, we can see we have our very clear track stop with full brakes that will stop any minecart that's going at Mach 12 around a track, and boom, there it goes, it's gone. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Was this video helpful? If you want to see more videos like this, check out this YouTube channel where I have a very large collection of these very quick tutorials for Dwarf Fortress. And if you learned something today, that's awesome. And if you didn't, that's fine too. If you have any tips on things you can do with these lever setups or pressure plate setups, let me know down in the comments section. I'd love to hear them. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.